Welcome back to another video episode of Comedy. I'm your host for today, Jill, and today we are going to talk about the fact that 2024 is not over and we got so many good metal releases this year, which is literally insane. And I'm happy to say that 5 of those great metal records are from our local metal scene. So very proud to be sharing them today with you. And let's just start at the beginning, shall we? I mean, January already started with a bang. By a good friend of mine, Mr. Milim, who released his solo project, Aeonic, with Aeonian Lights, an absolute beast of atmospheric black metal. I mean, he's a god-tier drummer. By now, everybody probably knows him, at least in the local scene. So, for those out there internationally who don't know Aeonic, I think this is a really serious project that they are going through, and what happened with them this year is also comes straight out of the books, basically. So Aeonian Lights got released in January. It's just a few tracks. It feels more like an EP, but really tight atmospheric black metal songs. Some are more like slow paced, some are like blast beat overload, and and we can't ignore the fact that they went to Wacken this year to represent Luxembourg, which is also, again, for a black metal band, that's big news, right? And I really enjoy the fact that these fellows, they don't take themselves like too seriously. Like, this is like the black metal OG stuff that we are doing. We basically write music that we enjoy playing also, and that, I think, puts them apart out of many black metal acts, at least in the local scene. But then again, this is only January, and the year continued like, oh my goodness. I mean, by the time we are recording this is November, end of November. There's still so much coming out, and I don't think I'll manage to listen to every piece of music because it's just too much. But we move on to, well, let's just say there was a small gap in terms of interest from my side. I stumbled upon these guys way back, and they were actually the first guests that we had on the episode. By the way, just to open brackets here, most of these bands we either had or will be featured on the podcast in terms of interviews and stuff. So go ahead and check that out. You have to listen to Luxembourgish speaking though, but that's just how it is, right? We will probably update that later on in the following year or the year after. We are not sure yet. But anyway, in September, Azathor released their third EP or second EP, where they literally changed their whole program, their whole genre, their whole way of portraying music. Because Azathor is a band that released in the early days, it was more like death metal, blackened death metal with a lot of Viking elements to it. And these elements were put to side because basically it didn't fit probably any more respect for what they did so far. But I think today we focus more on their latest release, which is has a very funny title for those who are not familiar with Tolkien. And yes, it's always a good time to talk about Tolkien, isn't it? So their record Cuenta Mir Sangwa was released in September, and to be fair, I saw the news. I listened to a few tracks, and shame on me, I forgot to share some reviews and some details about the record because after going back now before recording this and several months before, damn, it's maybe just a few songs again, but they are so atmospherically inspired by Tolkien, and isn't that a good thing, to be fair? So Cuenta Mir Sangwa dives into Tolkien elements, obviously, in an atmospheric black metal way, which is also, again, unique to Luxembourg, because I think they're the only ones till now that thematize Tolkien stuff and everything that goes with the Lord of the Rings, the Silmarillion, Middle Earth, basically, or Arda, for those nerds out there who get me, right? We know our shit, right? So this record really I think it will elevate the band and their way of being reception by fans, not only local but also outside of the spectrum internationally. It will get way more attention, and I'm really looking forward to what these fellows will continue with, because this is like a whole aesthetic theme that they are now building, and it's really my shit. Because again, I mean, who doesn't like Tolkien, right? And then we move on to another record that has been shared a lot in this podcast. That has been featured again in an interview with also a friend of mine, David from Blanket Hill. We totally changed spectrum here. We went from 2 atmospheric black metal projects to straight hardcore music, which I mean, hardcore is good. I don't know why people seem to avoid this metal genre. I'm sure I did, and I regret it till this day, because I missed out quite a few things. And Blanket Hill showed with The Ash That Shall Remain that they are Luxembourg's hardest hardcore band, and they deserve the spot for sure. Straight up Hardcore Anthems. It's not about just like destroying stuff and putting wreck to the stage or whatever. It's more like, it's really emotional. It's really you need to let go of your hatred, basically, and they do that in a way that no other band, I'm sure no other band in general, can in the country. I witnessed the release of The Ash That Shall Remain live. That was a banger show. They just know how to drop bangers anyway. I suggest that you check out the review I did back on Instagram, and as well the interview with David that is featured on the podcast. But then again, Luxembourgish, right? It's such an issue with Lux. We should do more English episodes. Future projects. I mean, we are working on it, to be fair. And then we move on to another great post-metal record that also was unexpected from me, because I'm a big post-metal enthusiast. I like everything that Amun-Ra does. I like those really dragging, like really tank movements of this wall of sound, which is not necessarily overloaded, but it's just dragging you into the floor and pushing you on emotional levels that no other genre can, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm talking about Kraton and their sophomore record, Monolith, which got released not too long ago, in November. Man, that's a solid record to, basically fall in love with the genre, I think. I think there's no other band in Luxembourg that portray post-metal that well. And I'm sure for fans of the genre that like this kind of depressive vibe, kind of really, at least depressive texts and lyrics, let's be honest here, they really show off their knowledge of post-metal portrayed in a way that, I mean, as it should be, because post-metal is a genre that is seriously special and can be taxing and is not easy to listen to. And I'm glad I did. I mean, we were lucky enough to get the record a bit earlier and share our reviews. And again, 10 out of 10 straight from me, because this is Amun-Ra material. This is just so dark and sad, and in a way, but in a good way, Sometimes it's okay to be sad. And I think Kraton delivered that very well. The release was amazing release on the 9th of November. The concert went down in Rock Hall with Azator as opening band. So that was just like witnessing them live on a bigger stage is seriously something else. And I'm really, really looking forward for the reception of this record and how this record will do outside of Luxembourg as well. Because again, we probably know each other from in some way or another, at least from view. And it's always a pleasure to see, like, you see your folks doing well and getting the recognition they deserve, basically. We move on to the last one. And the last one is kind of sad because, again, when we got the news that it will be the last release of this particular band. Um, I have to say, I went down a bit on an emotional and kind of a sad throwback to my earlier metal days when I discovered metal and metal made in Luxembourg, basically. And they are and still will be, and probably always will be, my go-to heroes of this particular genre featured in Luxembourg. And I'm talking about Miles to Perdition. I mean, they were there pretty early on, while bands such as Exin Fairies or Fast Friday were already gone or not far from gone. These guys took over the melodic death metal and the seriously extreme death metal style, and they just delivered on every note. I discovered them with Vengeance. That's way back. I mean, that's over 15 years back, I think, at least. And yeah, sadly, this will be their last EP that they will ever release. No idea. The reasons, I mean, does not necessarily concern us or anyone out there. Sometimes it's just, you just need to know when it's time to stop, and I respect that a lot. And their last EP, called Of Gods and Parasites, only has 4 tracks. It's 4 very emotional tracks to me. But then again, they're not emotional at all. It's basically straight in your face. This is extreme death metal that they do, and that's what they do best. In similar ways than their earlier record, 2084, which had a lot of like these cool synth intervines and this more like dissonance kind of going on. And again, it's filled with this particular style of elements, and I really enjoy that. Sadly enough, it will be their last, so I highly suggest that at least one last time give these guys a listen of their latest and last record, and go and check out also their earlier stuff, because they always delivered, and they will be remembered, at least on my side, as one of the best metal acts coming from Luxembourg. And with that, yeah, we did it already. I mean, these were only 5. I'm sure I missed out a few, and I'm sure there will be several more next year. There has been a few announcements already what is going to happen next year. There will be featured interviews as well for next year's, so stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe, obviously, and all the songs that you hear in this video will be featured on all of these records, and I'll share any links in the description below, so don't worry about that. So again, like and subscribe, and yeah, hear and see you guys very soon.